My father. He was a teacher. One day we were studying history. Faced with the annihilation at the hands of Titans, humanity took refuge behind the walls and realized 100 years of peace. But in this process, we lost all records of what humanity's earlier past might have looked like. That's what all of us were taught. Even back then, this seemed strange to me, and so I asked my father a question. He gave me a fairly evasive answer, and continued with the standard lesson. But when we got home that night, he sat me down and gave me the real answer. He told me the history books he received from the government were full of contradictions and mysteries. He then proceeded to tell me a theory of his. Even as a child, I was astounded. There was a reason he didn't share that theory with the entire class, but I wasn't smart enough to see it. I told the other children what he had told me, and one day, the MPs arrived to question me. My father didn't come home that night. They said he died in some kind of freak accident. But I knew that wasn't true. He'd been silenced by the government. 107 years ago, when humanity fled to these walls, the king altered their collective memory to make them easier to rule. That was my father's theory.
Yes, I can see why the first king might do that. He must have believed that such knowledge would lead to civil strife.
Yes. But ever since I was a child, I've asked myself, why would the government have to kill my father for nothing more than getting close to the truth? Despite the cruelty of it, I'd hoped their motives at least might have been noble. But more recently, I've realized something about these men. What they're fighting to protect is not humanity, but their own gardens, houses, and lands. Which means, all they care about is suppressing those who dare to question their authority in any way. I no longer believe that there was any justification for my father's death. He was killed by human greed, and by the sheer stupidity of his own son. I can't tell you why, but I know in my gut that my father's words were true. I've made it my mission in this life to atone to my father by showing the world he was right.